Welcome to
I love
another
that.
episode of the Mind, Body, Spirit panel series, an offshoot of the Angels, Positivity, and Love show. Incredible guests the world over, incredible insights, experiences, plus high vibe. And I don't mean just high vibe. They're often intuitive, healers, traditional type psychologists, scientists, and so on. And they're kind enough to share that vibe with all of us. I'll call it love and consciousness, but that's what this panel is all about. We're going to get them into the nitty gritty of what's it all about, Alfie, if you remember the 1970s, and what is it to be here now? Okay, with us today, coming back, three amazing experts, one from the UK, one from Florida, one from California. We cannot have them on enough, and they've got permanent invites to come on solo anytime they want. Valerie Varan, quantum psychologist out of Florida, and you'll see her wearing the whitish outfit, bottom left for me of the Brady Bunch Foursquare here. She's amazing. She has many more other parts of her background. You can check it out in the details below the video or see her on the regular APL show and check it out there. Dr. IYA Whiteley, wearing red, space aviation psychologist, but many other holistic modalities she's either studied, is currently studying, or teaching or about to teach in the future. And Kevin Russell, transformation guide with a focus on quantum consciousness. Boy, is he chill. Boy, is he fun when he talks. So, and his wife is fantastic. Kelly Russell, we got to get her back on the show more often. But Kevin, Ia, and Valerie, you three have played together before. Welcome back. Great to see you all.
Good to be here, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks
And
for having us, Michael.
I'm going to share the joke we did just before we started the show that had you all laughing, just to lighten up the audience, because I personally think it's not about trying or the words, which we have to do for this, but it's where do rainbows go when they're bad? Prism, but it's a light sentence. With that, Kevin, can you start us off with either a question that tops this one? What's this all about that we're in, this thing called life with its ups and downs? And what are we striving for? More love? What's the name of the game? Or tailor it how you will.
Okay. I'm gonna springboard off of the joke from a prism into a spectrum and looking at it through the lens of everything exists on a spectrum. So what's that all about? That's that's that. I always think back to that movie City Slickers. If anybody's seen that, where Curly is, it's about this is the one thing. I think Jack Palance, great actor, great role. Um, I have tons of ideas, but I feel like that's that eternal question that is only individually answerable. We can talk all we want. We can offer ideas. We can offer things that have worked with us, what it is for us. But again, for me, that in the spectrum of life, that's shifted and evolved and transformed as well. So yeah, I think it is about a one thing. And my general answer to, kind of what, if I'm paraphrasing the question, what are we doing here? At a really, really fundamental level, baseline level, and also really high level, we're here to experience all of the contrast and release resistance or attachment to all of the contrast we experience. That's it.
Beautiful. Valerie, what's your take on that question? Why are we all here?
Well, and I love that we all fill in details from different parts of our perspective. I would say, for me, the answer is love, but I'm actually going to give a deeper, perhaps even more quantum perspective to love because when we think of human love, we think of connection and we think of when we truly feel love, we're aware of our interconnection at that point in time as a couple, with a partner, with children. And when I think of cosmic love or quantum love, I think of we dive into the awareness, and sometimes it can be so ecstatic and so broad that we jump into the awareness of our interconnectedness with all things, all people, all realms, all at the same time. And so for me, love is that felt feeling, that sense of energy in space time, but the quantum realm where we're feeling our interconnectedness all at the same time, and talk about bringing joy. And for me, that is what it it's all about, is feeling that interconnection no matter what realm we are in.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. The spectrum that we are all in. And yeah, the love and the qualities of love that we're all expressing in our own unique way. And I feel we are here to weave those qualities of love that Valerie mentioned and create that spectrum of light that all of us emanating. And I feel we are here to uncover our imperfections, which are actually our unique gifts. And the more imperfect we are, the more valid it is to contribute our perfection, to tip that tipping point that has been said in science, that the outlier creates a new pattern, a new innovation, a new thread, new path in science, and also in how we are evolving and directions we take. So I think let's keep weaving with love the whole spectrum.
If anybody has a follow-up, now is almost the time. I have one quick quote from a Netflix film. Don't remember which one, from maybe 8 years ago. In the end, love is what shows us life in different colors. You can comment on that, or you can react to what Valerie said, Kevin, or Ia. Does anybody have a follow-up? Kevin, what question would you like to ask Valerie, Ia, or the two of them?
I like some of the suggestions that Ia's made as far as pulling back the lens. Some of the questions were leading towards kind of generational expansion. So, kids coming in and looking at it through the spectrum or through the lens that both Valerie and Ia shared, as far as, the answer to the equation I think we're all working on is love. And so how do we support and encourage and empower not only those of us that have been on this planet for X amount of years, but also those that are just coming in at this time? Yeah, that's I love looking at that question. And so, yeah, I just opened that up. So as far as what we're doing for ourselves and each other, but how can we then, if we're looking at it through the lens, I heard this quote recently where our parents' ceiling is our floor. So the most that we can do, that's our kids' starting point. So what can we do as collective stewards of humanity to really make that the most expansive ceiling, so we never finish our expansion, and we can also accelerate the expansion or reconnection of those coming perceptively behind us in age.
Valerie, that's a great observation from Kevin. And is it all about awareness, growing one's awareness, maybe a little less knowing and thinking and stuff like that, the old way?
Oh, that in a way feels like two separate questions for me. So maybe Kevin's first, as we're looking at the new generations, no, actually, maybe I'll start with the way Michael phrased it. It almost feels like to me what we have to do is cultivate subtle energy awareness. And so when I say that, energy awareness, because truly we are energy beings. The body is electromagnetic and has those beautiful qualia, as Ia was talking about. And at the same time, the subtle part of it is because we also exist beyond space-time and beyond electromagnetism. So there's that quantum aspect, if you will. And so what I love is as we're cultivating a subtle energy awareness, it's going deeper, deeper, deeper. And from a generational standpoint, like I'm really noticing, let's say, the autistic kids that they're looking at, and the phenomenon of the telepathy tapes, and noticing that what previously was considered like, wow, here are these nonverbal autistic kids, and their parents were being told that they were pretty much empty shells, which is heartbreaking. And here we find out what a robust inner world they have. And you give them a board where they can become spellers. And all of a sudden, you're finding out that they are completely connected, even at that non-local level. So, like, people who have never met one another, but they know one another, and it might be across the world, across the country, and then they meet one another. Well, someone's coming in the door and they know. So to me, the telepathy tapes and showing the evolution that's happening in our children through the growing numbers of autistic children, instead of being some debatable bad thing like, oh, this is bad and this is a result of vaccines or something like that, what I'm seeing from my perspective, it's showing us a shift in our children. It's more and more children are coming in telepathic. More and more children are coming in with subtle energy awareness. They're already aware of their interconnectedness. And so how beautiful when we can honor that and learn to listen at the deepest level and really get the wisdom that's coming from them. And to me, what I've noticed is the biggest problem they're having is learning how to be embodied. Learning, what do you mean? I have a body? And how do I work this body? And so if we borrow chakra language, right, we can be too much in the ego states. And so as Kevin pointed out, at that point in time, we're learning how to detach from the physical world a little bit, because we have to do that in order to embrace these beautiful higher energies that are coming in. But these beautiful autistic children are kind of showing us that we can also be too much on top. And I was actually talking to one of them via Zoom most recently, and she agreed with me. I said, it feels to me like you're about 98% out of body and in the higher chakra, so to speak, and only about 2% in your body. And therefore, no wonder you have like 50 medical diagnoses and, all of these problems that are going on. And she was like, yeah, that really resonates. And so, she set her goal to, let's say, try to get to 60% out of body and 40% in body. And I'm like, wow, that would be amazing. But again, like these young people coming in just blow me away with their natural wisdom and interconnectedness. And then the rest of us are all trying to find our way back to that. So I'll leave it there.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, we are certainly, I think every generation would say that we are living at the time of change. And I think I like the connection that Kevin said, that we are the ceiling, that or we can reach the ceiling and it's a floor for our children. And I feel that also we are the connection for children to take the next step. It feels to me that when they come here, they have the opportunity to springboard, almost have like a vocabulary of where they arrive, so that we can give it to them rather than for them to discover, like maybe previous generations had to do and we had to do. So almost allow them the elevation, going through elevator to understand, and giving them the bird's eye view of where they have arrived. And I feel that actually perhaps our responsibility to connect with who we are, and also to connect with Earth, because there is not, it's not a mistake that we're here, and the Earth is the way it is, and it's full of vibration, and there is a lot of discussion for many years that we are vibrating ourselves. And I feel there is the need to hear the sounds and connect with the sounds that are around us, not just within us as human beings, vibrating energy beings, and many layers that we have, but also to merge and connect through nature. And it is more prominent, I would say more current and maybe more urgent now, because a generation of children are so directed into screens, and they need a portal to connect to nature. And of course, this is more connected to Western kind of cultural upbringing. But nevertheless, I feel we need to have a portal to nature, and whatever that may be. It could be through us, because we are the portals as well for our children to connect, and actually for each other. So I think being connected in some way, and whatever that may be, the connectivity, and maybe that would be the next question to the next person. What do you feel is most important right now, a practice that we can adapt to strengthen our connection to our inner selves and to this universal consciousness that flows through us and through everything around us?
Kevin, do you want to answer that?
Oh yeah, yeah. To me, it's a couple important facets for me and around that question. One is getting out of a place of thinking we know. So staying open and curious as opposed to thinking we know what anything is, whatever we're looking at, whatever we assume is the cause or the reason or an internal judgment, challenging those. The other is pushing our comfort zone. And a lot of times the comfort zone is an internal one, and then that tends to express externally. And so we limit ourselves. We're our own worst governor in some ways because we're so self-limiting based on the feedback that we get from our environment, especially when we're younger, and then we adopt that as our operating system. And then for me, the third one, which kind of pulls everything together, is more of that approach to mind-body mastery of regular nervous system or consistent nervous system regulation, consistent practice with pushing the comfort zone of what we're willing to entertain as a thought or as a sensation in the body. My favorite way of doing that is with breath work. We're really pushing the comfort zone of how intense I can breathe, how long I can hold on empty or on full. Because the more we know and the more reps we get of our system, then the more we can embody and be all the beautiful things that we're sharing and that we're talking about conceptually. And then we come to that blueprint of learning how to navigate those more subtle energies, learning how to work with all of those natural extrasensory capabilities that every single one of us has, but that most of us either suppress, ignore, or dismiss or explain away because of, again, that conditioning and programming. So really embodying that full spectrum, multidimensional aspect of the human experience, recognizing we are more than, as Valerie said, more than the sum of the parts, and really embracing that as the blueprint to move forward with, and then just keep checking in with it because it's so easy to get back in those old patterns.
And Valerie, we're going to have you answer next, but I have 3 quick things if I can remember them all, but it's breathe more, think less. We'll take that off Kevin's plate there. And opening openness, Tibetan Buddhist expression. And finally, a NASA astronaut quote, Story Musgrave once said, getting out of the comfortable path, that's what exploration is all about. To again, tap what Kevin was just saying. Valerie, what's your response to what Io was asking?
Well, and what I love about this question and what I love about Kevin's answer and the fact that we can all come at it from various perspectives is everything Kevin was saying is exactly what we normal human beings have to do, right? If we're more attached to our physical body and its neuroplastic autopilot place, that's not going to be in the direction of our growth and our evolution in consciousness, that's for sure. And so everything Kevin said, right? We have to learn how to quiet the mind. We do have to release attachments. To do that, we do have to be open. So everything Kevin said is just a beautiful way to describe what is that path of growing into our humanness so that we can even master our humanness. In transpersonal psychology, we will say often that we have to develop the ego before we're ready to transcend the ego. So the next stage of things, no wonder once we've learned to quiet the mind, it really just prepares us for radical listening, right? So intuition is about radical listening. It's about developing that subtle energy awareness that I was talking about, right? So it goes through the electromagnetic place where, I mean, that's kind of like part of it. The mind has to quiet, then you pick up those electromagnetic kinds of things. And I do mean that in a felt sense, right? When you really can feel the energy pulping of your body, when you can really gaze within. And I have all kinds of practices I do with clients where, you know, we can look at all kinds of things and notice that it's a particular energy that's within the body, and it has a shape and a sound and a color and a volume and what have you. And that's where we're holding this emotion as an energy, or a trauma experience as an energy, and it truly is an electromagnetic thing. And we can develop that awareness, and then it allows us to transcend that awareness and go even more into that truly collective consciousness where we're really tapped in beyond realms. And so no wonder earlier I was stressing the importance of developing a subtle energy awareness.
Yeah, would you like to also answer your own question?
Yes, I feel foremost through changing ourselves and tapping into what Kevin was saying about our limiting things that we have experiencing, allowing for the children to, allowing the space for them to be who they are in the moment, exploring and checking up with ourselves to see, ask that question. Is it my concept? Is it my projection? Is it my belief? Do I really need to do this? Is this really important? And children often remind us very much. It don't have to be our children, but they would say, "Why do I need to do this? Why now? Come." And often they don't even ask, "Can't we do something else?" Their questions more about an instinct about not wanting to do something, and they will ask why I need to do this now. And it's a question that I feel we have forgotten as children to ask ourselves. And I think the more we ask that, the more space or the more elevation that we will provide for our children, and they then have this stepping stone or a jump, or maybe in fact they arrive where they need to be and we're pulling them down. So that's, I feel, through observation and just really listening to what they're saying and then checking up with us. Is it our limitation, or are they inviting us to take a leap of faith and just trust that what the next thing would be is the right approach? Because children often with parents I speak, they find that a child will actually invite them very frequently throughout the day, and we explore this more and more, and then we hear it not as a child questioning or being obstructive in a way, or if you wish, it could be considered as misbehavior, but it's more an invitation to us to see, is this something that I have constructed? Do we really need to do it? Or is it an invitation to look elsewhere? So, yes.
Valerie,
I actually have a follow-up that I would love to ask Kevin and Ia about that, if that's okay. Yeah, so I don't know who wants to go first, but as I'm listening to, yeah, you know, in Western psychology, they teach that tabula rasa, right? That we're born as children and that we're blank slates. And then traditional parenthood is all followed from that. So I would love to hear you guys talk about that.
Thank you. Yes, I feel that actually we have everything we need and we are born complete. And in fact, we are complete as adults as well. And it's just about remembering. Kevin.
100% agree. It's a faulty belief or thought only born through the lens of adult kind of over mentalization. And it, to me, it brings up something that both Valerie and Ia touched on, which is that perception that as adults we know more or we know better. or, whatever. But really, we just know more of our conditioning. We know more of the cage in which we have been born. And so the more we can really step out of that paradigm, again, open curiosity, challenge the thoughts. We have to be our own coach in some ways, because nobody else has purview into what's going on thought wise in the mind or sensation wise in the body. And as you both were sharing, what I thought of was how brilliant a day it will be when a child comes home from a conflict or something at school, and instead of the parent getting mad at the child, getting mad at the teacher, getting mad at the other person or the other child who's involved in the conflict, the parent sits their child down and says, well, how are you feeling? Well, I'm feeling angry. Well, where do you feel that? Just to Valerie's point, because I feel like a lot of our issues come from the disconnection of the mind body. And we've been so terrified in the West of feeling anything that we've worked for 150 years to suppress, any physiological sensations. We're just in the mind. So healing ourselves so we can allow those that are coming in whole and complete to just be and actually learn from them without all of the smudges and dust and caked on dirt that we accumulate that clouds our lens as we get older. So yeah, I feel like that's an assumption made by psychology that's abjectly false. Yeah, we are full and complete when we come in, and then the journey into adulthood is the remembering if we so choose.
Is that so? Remember to remember if you can remember when you remember. I'm going to read 5 different quotes to you, and you can either blow them off and ask another question or use 1 or 2 of them to propel something to another panelist. But Valerie, you're going to have the hot potato and be able to take some of these inputs and package them up however you want, again, to Kevin or Iya. Here's just a few thoughts. What happens if everyone, or at least the younger generation, starts seeing what already is in place? Light on everything, trees, people. So there's an argument between 2 people. You can see their auras, but you have an understanding that goes beyond words and human mankind structure stuff. And so you're really feeling and seeing love, and you've got a whole different way of interacting. That's just one. Now, here are some of those quotes. You don't have to say it, explain it, or understand it to know it. I've always loved that one. Feeling overthinking, like a bumper sticker. Your unconscious mind speaks a language people can hear even when your conscious mind has not spoken yet. And just a couple more. Everything around you is your instruction. I think that's Pema Chodron, if I got that right. And finally, a classic Indian expression, or India. A mind that is fast is sick. A mind that is slow is sound. A mind that is still is divine. Where do you want to take us, and who do you want to specifically direct this to?
I actually would love to pick up on the very first thing you said, because I do feel it is the direction that humanity is headed. Because what you described to me is a world where we are all collectively perceiving these right now unseen worlds. And I would like to remind all viewers that, the electromagnetic spectrum is quite large, but the visible portion is this tiny, tiny, tiny little sliver. And so to everybody's point here, everybody here today, we're all recognizing that realm of vibration, which is frequency and oscillation and rhythm, and we're rhythms within rhythms and rhythms, and it's all light, and it's bouncing light. And so when we're developing clairsensory abilities, the abilities to see what we don't right now see. I mean, even dogs hear what we can't hear, right? And so the dogs are perhaps more evolved than we are. So it's interesting to think of all of these aspects that right now our radar equipment has not evolved to detect, right? But technically every cell and every part of us is an energy receiver transmitter. So that world you depicted is a world where everybody is plugged in, they're tuned in, they see at the deeper level of light, and therefore they see our interconnectedness, they see our flow, and we immediately see our impact on everyone else immediately, and we feel it to Kevin's point. And so doesn't that, it's not surprising that it's going to take us in another direction of how we treat one another. So maybe starting with Kevin, like, what are your thoughts about all that?
I love where you went with the magnetism or even the visible light field. I mean, it's a fraction of a percent.
Hey.
Uh, well, I have one of my favorite thinkers from the 20th century. His name's Buckminster Fuller, and he has a quote that "Seeing is believing is a blind spot in human vision or in man's vision," and it's so true. And Michael, as you shared the question, Valerie, as you were formulating and expanding on it, I thought back to that movie Contact with
Love that.
Amy Adams, where at the end we come to this more.
Arrival.
I'm sorry,
Arrival.
Arrival. Thank you. Contact Jodie Foster, another
I love
brilliant,
that one.
another brilliant Carl Sagan, approved and actually helped. That was one of the biggest ones that connected me with Occam's razor. Thank you, Arrival. Where we start to begin to look at things more multidimensionally. So whether that's with a circular language or a cyclical way of viewing, there is no beginning and end. We're just in a series of cycles. And to me, what that does, at least how it's expressed towards the end of the movie, is this deeper, visceral, what I might call a quantum consciousness or Christ consciousness level of awareness and embodied experience, where we aren't assuming anything. We are experiencing life through the lens of, okay, what must this person be going through in order for them to express in the way they're expressing? So it is that kind of hold back 5D recognition of self and other, and the lack of separation or distinction between the two, because everything that separates us is the most superficial factors that could ever exist. So shifting to that place is a fascinating potentiality. And I think Ia mentioned it, where we get to this place of tipping the scale. So from a human standpoint, for culture to evolve, I think it takes 10% of a population. So, I mean, in the United States, we're probably over that, but let's say there's 300 million people. That's only 30 million people to really enact sweeping change. And so I know there's in the globe of those that are on an awakening journey or self-reconciliation journey, there are way more than 30 million. And the interesting and ironic and kind of twinkle of the universal eye in all of it is, I think a lot of us feel like we are alone on the journey, or nobody understands exactly what we're going through. But again, pulling back the lens, it's like, oh, there you are. Oh, there I am. Oh, hey, me. Oh, hi, you. And the more that we can, come at it from that place of lightness and less attachment and more openness to understanding the concept of Sonder, recognizing that every one of us is living as rich of a first person hero, heroine, lead actor role in life, the more that we can accept that, and we don't have to compete to feel worthy, to feel accepted, to feel or find love. It just is. It is that natural state that we never lose, that we're born with, as we've spoken.
As we shift to Ia for her response, I'll still put a business context to this. You're a venture capital firm. It doesn't have to be Silicon Valley, but you're headed to South Korea to strike a real estate deal. You have 30 meetings over 5 days, 30 different real estate groups you want to meet with, and 5 are probably bad apples. How are you going to make the best decision? Are you going to hire an intuitive to go with you and read the room and see the light and then trust that person? Or do you want to learn and just tap your already great big business heart that you have? You have a sixth sense as it is. You've never had a bad deal. Your track record's incredible. But if you could actually see the light, and when a person speaks, the light goes out or it turns black, or I don't want to knock red at all, but the point is, you can just tell when a person's BSing you. You can tell when they're love and they're loving what they do. And it's a match made in heaven. So I'll leave that as food for thought on the business front, because sometimes once business gets behind something, boy, does it take off. Ia, what's your response to this whole topic?
I like your quote that started or sparked all this conversation, which was, everything around us is instruction. And you said, you think it's Pama children. And yes, this is a premise also related to your answer just now. So kind of circling back to you, answering your question, what Kevin said through Arrival, that it is all one loop. And here you are looking at me and I'm looking at myself. And so I think we are quantum entangling right here. And so it's beautiful. And I feel that it is true. So the instructions are left by us, possibly if we are it or that, that quantum consciousness that is manifesting. And our children are reminding us, and it's all that is required from us is just to be present. And it's an overused word, to be present in here and now. But really, what it means is that really listening to what the person is saying and seeing if I am answering it with a fresh perspective, meaning that it's not an automatic response, but I'm listening and actually thinking, does it apply now? Or is it how I usually say? And I am just literally before we joined, I had a feedback from a mom that on our course, which is really not a course, I find it difficult now to talk about this because there's nothing to teach. It's a course. It's our journey, right? And we're traveling together and we are reminding each other, and we just happen to pass each other in the right time to spark that remembrance, to spark that knowing. And hence all of the connections, like we're meeting today, or our children ask us questions, or someone passing by looks at us, and that makes us remember. And the nature around us, if we have a question inside us and go for a walk, usually the answer will come. It could be just a feeling, but also it could be just an answer in that Korean meeting where we'll see a plant in the room or a bird. We'll hear the bird or a chirping of insects, just outside. And it will just remind us about what would be the right action right now. And it's a choice in every moment. And if we take that as clean as we can be, meaning that as if we have just been asked that you can do anything you want right now, and take that as your first question at every moment. Just, I'm going to do this right now because I can. And that usually, at least in the audience that we are talking with and ourselves, it's coming from a heart and light place. So it can't be wrong. We are absolutely right. And that's the journey of discovery, to keep uncovering. In a way, it's not learning more, it's shedding. So it's shedding cell by cell, belief by belief, by, as Kevin said, a cage, and just arriving to more that we are, as within as without. I think I've heard that expression. I wouldn't be able to put it to a person. But yes, thank you.
Okay, each of you are going to get a follow-up, but it'll be Kevin, Valerie, then back to Iya, and then we'll move on. But first, we are going to digress with you can do anything you want for 1 week, and all your appointments, everything will be perfectly put on hold. You're funded as well, fully funded. U.S. government, Harvard, somebody's paying for the whole thing. What would you do for 1 week? I'm going to buy you all time and answer it. I'm going to Bora Bora and walking the beaches, obviously sleeping a lot, swimming, snorkeling, and so on. And if there are dolphins or whales nearby, I'm in. I've answered it. Kevin, what would you do for 1 week, full stop? Name it.
Man, that's so many layers to that one, so many dimensions. But first thing comes to mind would be a week-long mind body mastery summit. So with there being all expenses paid, it would be fully promoted, so blasting on all airwaves. I'd be hoping to get like a stadium or something, to really start to like accelerate things. So a mind body mastery summit.
Answered. Valerie.
So dovetailing on both of you, I'm at that location that Michael is at because, yeah, if there's all whales and dolphins there, man, the ocean, I am so there. Tropical flowers, carved wood, give it to me. At the same time, I feel like, yeah, if I could just have that wish, I'm at a summit where I have pulled together quantum pioneers from around the planet. And, the whole purpose being that we get to cultivate a whole new paradigm shift within the field of psychology, that it does become and it includes the more quantum perspective of reality. And to Kevin's point, gets us away from all this limited thinking that we're just these isolated, separate beings. We're just made of these physical things. We're born once and then we die. And psychology in this vision has blossomed and exploded, and it's completely shifted upside down in its paradigm shift. And we're changing the world because we now have more tools in which to support people through every stage Kevin mentioned, through every stage Ian mentioned, and really helping people understand this deep self that they actually are, that is interdimensionally connected. It's non-locally connected. We're all affecting one another in the now. And then, Michael, to your point about the businesses, like, no wonder it's easier to do conscious capitalism in that point, because we're all living our connections. And so we're going to be more motivated to foster capitalistic things that are serving all of us, and kind of turning that all on its head. And maybe one last point to related to what Ia was just saying is, there's a phrase that I notice I'm constantly bringing up with clients, and the phrase is conscious choosing. Because notice, if we've done the work that Kevin was pointing to and we get out of our way, we do get to the point where we're very aware, and now we can make these very conscious choices about what now, what next, and we can know why. I'll leave it there.
And those were two very powerful answers. Before we get to Ia, I just wanted to say, hey, I was just thinking I have really rough bottoms of my feet. I wanted to smooth them out. I've been a travel hermit for 10 years. It would be great to go to Bora Bora, but whoa, you two knocked it out of the park. Okay, Ia, what's your answer? 1 week, everything's paid for. You can go in any direction. You asked for it.
It is, in a way, joining everyone's here on the panel, but it would have one more element. And I think that's the beauty where we started, about weaving together. I would add to that listening as a skill for all of us to explore at that mind, body, spirit space. And that would be in nature, absolutely by water. Absolutely part of it will be in water with dolphins and whales. And place would be filled with children. And they would have their own space, and we will have intersections where we will be learning from them. So they will spark us, and they will bring the light, and they will bring the liveliness that we've become too serious, and we need to remember of who we are, and watch their wonderment and learn from them on how fascinated they are about what nature opens up for them. So it's about embodying that, I guess, again, about removing the layers and shedding and becoming those children, but with our knowings now. And children would have their own opportunity to explore in their own way. And we would be able to be comfortable because they would be excited to join with nature. Because when children have other children and they are in nature, there is actually nothing else they need. So, and so if we could do this kind of weaving together through that, I think that would be beautiful. And we can then weave this intercultural, interdimensional in terms of earth elements, listening and vibrating and experiencing and sharing.
I love that. Releasing the ancient burden of self-importance. And Descartes did not say, I see the light, therefore I am the light, which leads us into the next exercise, which is not Q&A based. It's going to be practical. I'll put this up as a background. Blue sky is great. Shut off TV or black sweatshirt, but you can see my light on my fingers. That's wonderful. Blue, green, gold, yellow. You don't have to say anything out loud publicly, but I think you've all done it before on the show, individually or together as a group on the last panel. People can check that out, and it's a great time to plug the concept of put a comment down. Who have you enjoyed the most? Are you for whales or team dolphins or both? And is it Bora Bora or a different island? An emoji counts. Do a whale emoji or a dolphin emoji. Comment, share, subscribe, like, and so on. I'm going to put this up. People at home, if you haven't seen this, you can just see my light flowing between my fingers. The movie Celestine Prophecy kind of made this famous. A Band of Brothers HBO actor was on the receiving end and got to see his light from a JAG NCIS actress showing him. But as another guest on my main show said, in the 70s, they were doing it this way to begin with before the movie existed. And in India, they do it this way. So I'm going to stand up. The good news is everybody gets another dad joke. And here it is, because if you're laughing, you're letting go. Kids get it. What's the only flower found on the human face? Tulips. Iris, if you want to get technical. See a little film and a light between my fingers. When I pull them apart, I'll make 2 New York City elevators. But the second you do, allow the universe and angels and other universal beings to make it bigger and bring in more light that's not me. So you're going to blame angels in a second. Valerie, what are you seeing between my fingers? Is it gold, green, white, yellow, clear? What are you seeing?
This time it's like a combination of clear and yellow. And this, for viewers, is exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about developing subtle energy awareness, right? We're not usually looking at that, but you know, it's like taffy between Michael's fingers, and yeah, you can kind of see it. You have to be careful not to look at the shadow, but you definitely, if you're looking around the finger and along the tip of the finger, you'll notice that there's like a yellow white that stays with it. Maybe the others see different colors.
Kevin, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it was almost like a red like spark or flash right when you pulled your fingertips apart, and then I saw it shift into more of that yellowish white, kind of like a pearlescent.
Okay, and Ia, what are you seeing? In the UK, Ia in the UK.
I see a white. I would say it's like a field that is, I would say, electric around the fingers. And then when they come together, there's a narrowing. And then, yeah. So now it's thicker, and now it's pulling, and it becomes thinner. Yeah, that's it. Now I see the two intertwining as if they're twisting together.
And we're actually breaking this up. I'd do it one more time and go bigger, let the universe come in, but we're going to do one last side step here. I'm going to put both hands up. You can either put your hands up or you can let your whole body embodiment be the hand. So we're not talking to the hand. We're going to feel the hand. Here's my energy being lent out, but we're going to blame angels for this, or the universe. If you could just let me know what you're each feeling in Florida, California, and England. And if you don't mind asking for a few words, but it's not coming from me. Trust me, I am a blank, like literally one knot above stall speed here, trying to just be the host. I'm feeling you guys more than I'm following the conversation. And you can see me doing breathing techniques to stay awake. And you guys are knocking it out of the park. I'm loving this conversation. Okay, who wants to go first? Valerie, what are you feeling in Florida from these two palms?
Well, as soon as you put your palms up, I mean, for me, it was like boom. I mean, it was talk about knocking it out of the park. I think it went behind.
Yay. And again, blame angels, don't blame me. Just the host. Kevin?
As soon as you put your hands up, it was almost like hearing like an excited child's voice, and it was happy, happy, happy.
Nice. And Ia.
And Bora Bora.
Are you getting a little Pacific Islander experience?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to put this up one more time, but I'm going to go big and go faster. And I'm getting goosebumps and fried right now. But if you don't mind, I'm going to also just put up 3 or 4 photos of angels. We're going to let the universe and loving beings and consciousness itself come in. Here's for anybody who's just needing a little kick in the pants. Watch the regular shows or watch our wonderful guests today on their individual shows if you need more background about this. But I'm going to put this up one more time, one more dad joke. Bert and Ernie, Sesame Street. Bert offers Ernie ice cream. What does Ernie say? He says, "Sure, Bert." Okay, we're not too serious of a show. We've relieved ourselves of the ancient burden of being serious about dad jokes. Okay, here it goes. A little bigger, a little wider. And just see if you can catch an object, a filament, a geometric, a wisp vortice in there. People have gotten flowers objects before, so it could be an object. Allow the universe to make something for you. And if someone wants to speak up when they've got it, say what you're seeing.
I know for me, it was like a little funnel, like a funnel, especially from your left hand, I think.
Okay. And Kevin, are you getting anything bigger, broader, different than what you got before, or is it more the same?
More of an intense yellow, not necessarily anything form specific, but like more bright yellow energy.
Okay. And Ia, anything different or fun or wild?
About the same. I saw a couple of sparks.
Okay, perfect. And now that was some serious stuff in a different direction, but let's take a line straight to the next line of questioning. And Ia, you're going to be able to ask this one, but I'll give you 3 quotes to also help propel you into this new line of query. Those who feel energy in all have never measured it. Those who try to measure it never feel it. Truly, one may gain by losing, one may lose by gaining. And then finally, most people don't become what they can be because they can't see it's already what they are, who they are. Okay, Ia, whether those quotes strike home in any way or not, doesn't matter. Take us somewhere from the experiential, from light. It's in us and around us. I can do Yoda's voice if you need more time, but I don't think you need more time. What do you have as the question? Who do you want to direct it to?
Yes, so I would like to find out a bit about the feeling. So Valerie was talking about the feeling and the knowing and this more traditionally we call intuition, but actually it is a form of knowing, and it's often maybe termed telepathy because there is other ways of experiencing it, and I would like to kind of open that up. So how do we know about that Korean business or any question that we might have, or how does this communication with whatever we would like to tap into happens?
I love the thought line that this leads us into because intuition, I think in regular science is, in other words, when I look at research studies and I'll see them say, oh, there's no such thing as intuition, I'm like, what? And so then I go dive into the studies and I realize they must not have intuition because they've operationally defined it very similarly to instinct. And those of us who have intuition know it's very, very different. So I think the complexity, to Michael's point of measuring, is it's hard to put anything we experience into words, number one. And the difficulty is because we all do experience it differently. You used the word qualia a long time ago, earlier on in the show. And it's really true that like some of us hear more, some of us see more, some like whatever of the, let's say, 5 senses we have, what we're learning is that when we get to the clairsensory, we're probably going to perceive the information, perceive these qualia in a way that maybe dovetails our regular senses. So for me, you know, I've probably been legally blind since before the 6th grade. So it's no wonder that I don't really see, but yet maybe that's why I feel like I will feel things coming off of every object, every person, and what have you. And so maybe that's why information delivers through my feeling. But at the same time, when we're looking at intuition at large, I really believe that what it is, like what we all have in common, is we really are picking up data that, to Kevin's point, all of this language will get superseded. But right now we're calling it quantum because quantum science is the only science that is giving us a non-local vocabulary, you know, an entangled vocabulary, all of those quantum terms that relate to experiencers. It's giving us those quantum metaphors that we can use. It seems to mean something to us. So for me, like you said, it might not be considered telepathy, or it might be mislabeled telepathy, because that just sounds like mental to mental, thought to thought. And so what about for the people who it doesn't manifest as a thought, it manifests as a feeling, like you said, or a sound, or a sight, or a color. And then you look at those people who get synesthesia, where they'll, did I say that right? You know, but in other words, they won't necessarily pick up what we call color of a certain frequency. They'll go right to sound and hear the note of the frequency while we're busy looking at color. So intuition is this label that we're giving to clairsensory. And I believe what it all points to is that we're picking up the information of all of our beingness at those deeper quantum and informational levels.
Brilliant. Kevin, you're next.
Yeah, I mean, we've all got it. It just depends on our level of connection and openness to our own systems that kind of determines our depth of connection to others. And so if we are looking at life through certain lenses, then that's, you know, to your question, Michael, that the first one that we're kind of springboarding off of, that's what we will get. So, you know, tying in that Korean, you know, land deal, if we're going in expecting an adversary or expecting a fight, then the chances are higher that that's what we're going to get. And so, you know, for me, it's about that inner alignment and also discernment. Because there is so much, to Valerie's point, there's so much information constantly coming in, and most of us are at odds with our physiological systems, where the subconscious is more of an adversary than it is an advocate. And from that space, it is kind of an upstream slog, uphill battle until we start shifting those relationships. And that's where I find the easefulness of deeper knowing. And I feel like if we boil it down, whatever we call the clairs or the insight or anything like that, it's a knowing. Whether we see it, feel it, sense it, hear it, see it as a word, hear it as a word. And I feel like that deeper knowing, again, it's available for all of us, but the degree to which we can connect with that is only governed by the degree to which we are attached or resistant to the things in life we've experienced that are the actual factors that keep us from all of that. It's a beautiful dance in some ways and frustratingly brilliant in others.
Kevin, what would be one mantra that you just absolutely love that you think brings clarity to this topic?
Ooh. The first thing that comes to mind is I am that. And that's true at any given moment. If I'm frustrated, I am that. If I am at peace, I am that. If I am out of alignment, then I am that. If I am in a peaceful present state, recognizing that I can take right action when the time is right and not a moment before, I am that.
I love how you explain that. That's the first time I've heard I am that, but I haven't heard it put the way Kevin just put it. So you didn't just knock the ball out of the park. You took the leather off the ball, and poor kid in the parking lot cannot resell that ball on the market. Okay, Ia, did you have anything you wanted to add before we do the next percolation here?
Well, the one thing that I feel that we needed to do in that week that we had, and that we are going to have, or we are having it right now, is breath work, breath work, breath work in all its variety. Yes. So we start, we middle, and we continue with it.
Well, you must be a psychic or psychic medium or just a medium, but either way, you've nailed where we're headed next. So here are 3 quotes with a mini exercise that involves us all taking a breath, closing our eyes, and we're going to go to light language so we can go beyond English. We're so limited. But the audience is going to have to participate one way or the other. They may just feel something. They may just take a breath. Congratulations. As Mother Teresa said, compassion is like a deep breath for many. Because we're running around, we're so busy that taking a single breath during the week, like a focused breath or a relaxed breath, is as close as we're going to get to compassion. So here are 3 different quotes, and then we'll get your feedback on anything real quick, and then we'll take a step together where we just sit, a couple deep breaths, and we see what the universe brings in. I'll add an extra sentence or 2 there in a second, but angels once said 10 years ago, a breath is a taking in of one's own placement in the present moment. A breath is life. And then Chogyam Trungpa, Rinpoche, I can finally pronounce it right. It's not Rinpoche. And when I first met him, I was like, hey, that's a mouthful for Americans. Is there another name? He said, call me Gentle Frank. But he said in 2014, he died in 1987, taking one breath is like taking one step. Both bring peace and harmony. If you see me looking down during the panel, I'm pulling up these quotes. And then finally, here's the deep one that I'm still working on. The way to experience nowness is to realize that this very moment, this very point in life is always the occasion. Whoa. Okay, now, any reactions before we dive in with a deep breath or a few breaths? Kevin, what's a reaction to those 3 quotes or just the idea of breathing? Is it good?
I borrow from that show Ted Lasso, where the soccer player is like, football is life, breath is literally life. If we're not mastering our breath, what are we even doing here? It's a portal to so many things. So mine would be springboarding off of your last quote. Can you read it one more time?
Yes. The way to experience nowness is to realize that this very moment, this very point in life is always the occasion.
1,000%. Now is the only thing that ever exists. It's the only thing that ever can exist. Anything that is pulling us out of now is the subconscious trying to keep us safe, safety planning and protection. And it's not real. And there's a beautiful quote, faith and fear both rely on us believing in something we can't see. The choice in our alignment determines a quality that we experience.
And Valerie, we're coming to you for a reaction. But again, I always love slipping in a dad joke because it scrambles the intellect and it gets you to your heart. Why did the rabbit fall down that well? He didn't see that well. Okay, Valerie, what's your reaction to, I don't know, being in the now, breathing? Let's talk the big talk here.
Well, I so resonate with what Kevin said about the now. And the only thing I would add is that it's quantumly true, right? That's the thing that all experiencers know. When they've experienced beyond space-time, there is only now. Time and space does not exist. So past, present, and future all happening now.
You all are so amazing. I'm going to have to fall back to Winnie the Pooh as we go towards Ia, a famous quote from Winnie the Pooh. Well, it's actually Piglet asks Winnie the Pooh, how do you spell love? Winnie the Pooh is like, you don't spell it, you feel it. Okay, Ia, what do we do with this whole thing called breathing? What's your reaction before we actually take the plunge?
It is feeling. Yes, breathing is feeling, and feeling is here. So a Piglet was right with Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, okay. With your permission, if you can do something unusual, I'm going to give you one exercise. I don't like that word, but if you could rub your hands in a circle. You haven't done this in 30 years since you were each 2, or when you saw me last, if I suggested it before. But we're scrambling, and that's good. You just did something unusual. The brain's still trying to figure that out. It would be like doing this. Okay, so close your eyes. Take a deep breath, but if you could allow angels, light, universal beings of light, light beings to come in, doesn't matter what the words are. 11 above crew, bringing you light symbols. Could be Sanskrit, Japanese symbols, ancient Egypt hieroglyphs. It could be Native American symbols. I mean, there's a dozen others. Japanese, blah, blah, blah. Allow for light to come in. Anybody needs extra help, breathe through the mouth. That helps drop you into your field, your body. You're outstanding in your field with sunflowers right now. Allow, allow, allow. No try Yoda. I'll do Yoda's voice at home, but people, just tell the universe and angels to make it nice and add a thank you. Set your intent, repeat as a mantra. And do not. There is no try. And because all of your eyes are closed, including the whole audience at home for the next 10 years, I wasn't too embarrassed to do that. Allow for a stream of light, though, if you want to feel it as a vortices or vortex or bubbles from dolphins, dolphin consciousness, let it come in. Kevin's yawning. If you're yawning, tearing up, and our women in Florida and UK can breathe extra, shoulders going up and down counts as breathing. Now, if you're a professional nose breather at home, do it. But the bellows up and down effect, you'll feel it more. Ask for a hug, a whoosh up and down the xylophone. That's the chakras up and down your back. But allow for light coding. I'm going to make it up. Earth sacred geometry is the big one that I forgot to say. Or galactic coding. Let's go all modern. Neo-modern. We got to do interior design talk. Okay, so allow for the light to come in. See the light. Be the light. And one of you is going to come out of it. Kevin, you've been volunteered. And what are you getting, feeling? You did yawn, so we can throw you under the bus. The other two are going to keep going. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Let Kevin's voice take you somewhere because he's awfully good at this. He's got the vibe. Kevin, what did you get? What did you feel? What can you share? What would you want to share?
Yeah, it was a very feeling was peace, very peaceful. And what came through is it's interesting that with panelists, we're three today with a host. Like triangulation came in, and I saw a glowing triangle, and then it fractalized, so it became multiple triangles, and then it like expanded in depth and dimension.
You made my jaw drop, and I love it. We're going to ask for the next volunteer to come out. Valerie in Florida, you're booked with the big cane on stage here. Okay, what are you getting? What did you feel? What did you see? And any chance you got a triangle as well?
Well, interestingly enough, I first saw three orbs, which of course then connects to a triangle. And the word flower came. And then more orbs came in. Then it made 5 for some reason. So anyway.
Awesome. And I forgot to put up the photos of angels before this, but that's okay. Ia, what did you get? What did you feel? What did you sense? And what did you get caught off guard by first, if it's okay?
I felt like an electric charge that went probably very early on as you spoke. And after that, I felt so saturated like I would after breath work. So, and that was delightful without actually doing the work. So, and apparently, the more you breathe, the less it takes to get you there, which is incredible. So loving that.
With everyone's permission, could you put your hands up, the three of you? I'm holding back here. It's the three of you to feel each other's energy. Fingertips are fine if you only want to do fingertips, but the palm also is another way to go. View it as fingers and palm, palm only, fingers only. It's throw in your heart as well as an extra third you. I'm staying out of it for now, so it's the three of you, UK, Florida, and California. And at least show your fingertips a little so that everybody gets a visual. The brain has to have that. Breathe extra, no try Yoda. Send a little love and vibe, but also to the invisible audience. And by the way, this is 11 above, so there's good boundaries with angels and the universe watching over us. Only compassion and love for all. Anything else is whoop, to Venezuela or outer space. Or China, if you prefer. But outer space, if you want to be truly compassionate. Now, allow. See who comes through first or what comes through first. Is it light? Is it symbol? Is it perfume smell, cologne, champagne, bubbles? What are you getting? Ia, your eyes are open. I think you've already started feeling. I'm going to call you out. In the UK, what are you feeling?
I feel force that is it's not pushing back, but it's has more structure to it, and it feels, I would say, supportive and connected.
And if you could, close your eyes one more time and just see if you can distinguish between Florida and California, Valerie and Kevin, and see which one's jumping out at you. I'll tell a dad joke to help scramble everything. Where in a hospital is the worst place to play hide and seek? In the ICU. The one with the bigger laughter is going to come through. Ia, which one came through?
Oh, well, I heard a child laughter, and I think it was Kevin. But also there is kind of emptiness where Kevin is, in terms of like there is nothing to push against.
Ooh. And I'm going to digress for 1 second. There was a jujitsu expert, sensei, sixth dan on the show. And when she reached for the master's wrist, the master was standing there with 20 students, and they're each supposed to take on the master. She said when she grabbed his wrist, there was nothing there. And half a second later, she was on her back looking up at the master. No explanation of how the force worked on that one. She got flipped all in less than half a second. She touched the wrist. She said, oh my God, there was nothing there. And she's on her back. Okay, Kevin, what are you feeling? What are you getting from this? What's happening?
That was interesting. I was feeling Ia more with my right hand and Valerie more with my left. And I feel some of what Ia reflected, where what I was feeling from Ia was a strength and a presence, and not a pushing against, but just the presence there. And Valerie, I felt, was a little on the softer, as far as an energy goes, a little more supple side, just as far as an energetic resonance.
Brilliant.
So I was really feeling both kind of coming through my hands in a way.
And Valerie, we've held off. You've been feeling a lot. What are you feeling that you can share out loud?
I'll just say it really truly is the gift of a thick, vibrant field. And I just feel Kevin and Ia and Michael and Valerie just all as one field. I feel like my fingers are swimming in the collective field. And in this case, my right and left hands are balanced. Sometimes I'll feel one more than the other. Like, like recently there was an energy healing situation I was involved in, and I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just inserting my hands, and I could feel absolutely nothing on my right. So clearly that body did not want anything, but everything in my left hand, it was like my left palm was just, it was like that person's energy just wanted to completely leave their body and come into my left palm. So it's interesting. Today, I'm not getting any of that. I'm just getting this beautiful collective field. So for that, I'm very grateful.
And we're still leaving our hands up for 10 more seconds. I'm going to do a final act, and then we're going to chat a little bit. After all, it is a small world after all. Here comes me blowing. My microphone's up there today. I'm going to blow Hawaii your way. We're going to blame angels again for this, but catch what you can catch. A little sea spritz on the nose, wind in your hair, peppermint patty commercial from the 1980s in America. Here it comes. And the blowing, I apologize, but hey, wind has a sound. Catch it up your back, up your front if you wish, and through the hair, and possibly on the palms. Did you all catch a little bit of Hawaii, or at least Pacific energies? Love, aloha, aroha if you're in New Zealand. And this is a great time to do comments. What are you getting? Are you smelling Hawaii at home? Doesn't matter if you're in Auckland, Tokyo, or Berlin, and it's 2030 the year. Ia, what did you get? And you can drop your hands now. Did you catch a little anything, movement of energy?
I felt like almost felt like there was a bubble and something went around the bubble, but it didn't have like a bubble shape. It's almost like a membrane, and it just wrapped it and electrified it as a result.
Beautiful. Kevin.
Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't feel it on my hands, but on my face on the left side, just like a puff of a warm trade wind breeze, or just like a little bit of warmth. Just like it was great.
Awesome. And Valerie, you're in Florida already, so this is tough pushing, Pacific air your way when you're already in a paradise right now.
Oh, but I definitely felt it at the palms, big time.
Okay. I'll put up one angel photo. You can get a topic, a question, an insight, and one of you, it's like a game show. Just say, me, I've got it, put a hand up. You're talking for a little while, and then you can turn. The reward is you get to pose a question to another panelist. We're going to get back to a traditional format. Actually, I'll put up a couple photos. Joy and Charlotte, two angels, four archangels here, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. It doesn't matter which one or group reaches out to you. You're going to get a word, a question, an insight. First hand up is like hitting the buzzer in a game show. First, what did you get? And turn, and you get to ask a question of one of the other panelists. Breathe, breathe, breathe. No triota. I don't have to do that voice again. Who's going to put their hand up first? Who's getting pinged with energy light words? Kevin, you're our winner.
This one came through for me, and it felt like for Ia as well. My question that I was able to gain a answer around and interested in to unpack for myself as well. But what are you willing and ready to let go of? Was what came through for me, and it was I felt kind of kind of guiding the sluice towards Ia for that one.
I think it's almost I'm asking this every moment at the minute, so maybe you just heard it. That it's I feel like I probably will be asking this for a long, long time, and the answer is in the moment, whatever I'm grasping, or the straw that I'm trying to to catch against the stream. Yeah, yeah, but I don't need to. It's in an embrace, and it's a true flight. It's and we're not falling. We all connected, and we're held, and it's a cradle. And yeah, thank you.
And folks at home, Ia's got a beautiful show coming out. I forget if it's September or October. I think I have the right month. I'm not sure, but she had lights show up in the middle of taping, and it was beautiful coming through. I believe it was Archangel Uriel, and I think I clipped a 3-second version of it that's put at the front of it. So maybe in the show notes, I'll remember for this panel to just mark it's a future appearance by Ia that we've already taped that'll come out in the fall of 2025, if I have it correct. I'm going to just see, Valerie, do you have a question you wanted to ask one or both of the other two panelists here?
I would say maybe it dovetails on what Kevin just posed, right? Because I was thinking of the question of what are we each willing to let go of. And it's just interesting when you get into a comfort zone and like even for me right now, am I willing to give up comfort and keeping things small and comfortable, right? There's always a certain size that feels comfortable. Am I willing to, let it explode and get big? Those are some of the things. And so I guess, if I put that in form of a question, maybe it is if part of our evolution is for us to give up where we are now because we are headed into the next stage in evolution of our growth. I would love to hear if anybody wants to say what that might look like for them, because like you said, we're all growing and shifting with this planet. And maybe if we hear one another's like what's pulling us forward, maybe we can get a better glimpse of what is that future that is shaping right now, even though it's all now, but we know what we mean.
Kevin.
So what's pulling me forward? Um, yeah, it's been distilling over the last few years, but it's really sharing what I would call either the owner's manual or the blueprint or the handbook for truly embodied living. So that going back to that mind body mastery, the recognition that as Michael shared in a couple of his questions, everything is a mirror. Nothing is, everything is reflective of something on the inner state. So the more that we can unpack and understand and transform our relationship to our system individually, the more we are expanding and transforming our relationship to our systems collectively that we've all created. So that's really a pull for me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I actually have a question, if I may.
Absolutely.
So this is actually to all three of you, including you, Michael. What gives you hope for the next generation, and how do you see your work contributing to that future?
I can take a shot at it. I'm here to help people meet, feel, hear, see angels and hundreds of others like types of loving beings, and maybe take a stab at just lightening up, hatred, the concept of it. Just it's not as necessary. A little more love, a little less thinking or knowing the type that precludes possibility. And I'm certainly going to jump back one question and say I'm looking forward to I need to appreciate more my gardening, my life of dogs, running daily, and helping people where I can. But it's a very quiet existence. The invisibility cloak's coming off, or I'll be doing a lot more and missing these days at some point. But I do look forward to, if I'm 57 now, I figure by the time I'm 80, I'll be in Hawaii and my dream is seeing angels in human form, them popping in during my day, going running with my guardian angel, physically speaking, just running, like side by side, chatting away like a dumb human. That is yet to be defined, but that is what I'm looking forward to. And we'll see where the path goes. It's really all of it's out of my control. I'm just like a cork floating in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, Kevin, I'm passing the hot potato to you. Iya's question.
Yeah, can you ask it one more time, please?
Sure. What gives you hope for the next generation, and how do you see your work contributing to that future?
The kids are all right. We've talked about it. The kids already got it. We just got to get out of our own way to get back to that. And I feel like where I am contributing is in that guidance, guiding us back to that core, guiding us back to our source, guiding us back to ourselves, guiding us back to each other, guiding us back to that childlike quality that still exists, that why. We've never lost it. It just kind of got conditioned to be a smaller or perceptively non-existent aspect of us. So yeah, guiding us back to what's always been there.
Valerie.
So I guess when I see all of these children and when I keep hearing that there's more and more numbers of sensitivity, yeah, this year I'm entering age 65. And when I think of my 20s and my 30s and even 40s and so on, it just felt like there was such a few part of the population that understood anything we would have been talking about today. So what gives me hope is there are growing numbers, there are growing sensitives, and it is becoming more and more visible. People are becoming braver and braver for releasing experiences and talking about it. And to Kevin's point, we've been, way before the internet came out, I think everything was silent and squished down, right? That like we filtered all of that natural self out. And then as information has exploded and people are becoming braver and braver to share information. And then that makes the next person braver to share information. And I think it's just snowballed into the point where people are more willing to talk about spiritual experiences or all these natural experiences that in the past would have been spiritual or paranormal of some kind, psi of some kind, channeling of some kind. And to me, it just gives me such hope that the numbers, that the percentages are growing, because it truly, as Ia said, as above, so below. We are mirrors, it's reflecting. And so to me, as we hear more numbers, it's telling me that more and more people are returning to the who they really are. They're remembering, they're opening. And so while early on in my career, I didn't even know that anybody was out there, because I felt like I just kept talking and nobody was understanding what I was talking about. And so in the beginning, my practice was just very simply traditional psychotherapy, but it was very holistic and very integrative. And it was just at the beginning of trying to get people to feel that deep, authentic self. And now fast forward, a couple of decades, and like that's coming out so much more. And if I may, I might be combining a couple questions, but I know Ia had wanted us to also think about like what kind of story where someone had a breakthrough in exactly what we're talking about. And so as I just said that, it reminded me of a story of a client who had come in, and she wasn't and this was when I was in private practice. Again, I was mostly pretty conventional, holistic and what have you. And this person comes in, and I don't remember that they came in specifically for alcohol addiction. I think they came in for another cluster of symptoms and wanting help. But as my whole body was listening, and as my intuition was picking up the bigger of what was going on for her, I pretty much, in first time I met her, I said, I'm just getting a strong sense that the cause and the root of everything you're saying is because you have not felt your authentic nature. Would you like to do that today? And she looked curious and open, and she was like, sure. And so I did have her sit back in the big, comfy, overstuffed chair. And I did have her start taking in some of the beautiful breaths and start relaxing in her body. And what she didn't know is I was about ready to very quickly bring her into the realm of cultivating that deep, deep kind of awareness, that subtle energy awareness. And by that time, I had at least developed enough of it that I could feel her. And so as she was doing it, I was able to coach her, if you will. And for right now, I'll just say, imagine that we're saying left, right, back, forth. You're kind of like you're trying to get someone to hang a picture on the wall. And it's like, no, up a little to the left, no, back, no, or place a piece of furniture in front of the window. It kind of was like that. But as I was getting her to feel a sense of that deep breath relaxation and of that deep letting go and of that deep sinking in, like you're in this luxurious shower, Calgon, take me away. She finally hit it. And at the moment that I felt her hit it, I was saying there. And as soon as that was happening at the same time, her eyes just shot open wide. And next thing you know, she was in a state of exhilaration. And I didn't have to say the phrase. She said, oh my gosh, I am now realizing that what I'm going through is a spiritual emergency. And as every therapist knows, when you can get the client to say what it is and you don't have to, that is perfect. And pretty much she left my office becoming like as if she were a missionary now to all the AA meetings that were around, because she had decided she was going to go around and let everybody know that alcoholism was a spiritual emergency and that what was needed is to touch base with the authentic self. So that gives me hope to this generation that everybody is cultivating this. And I'll stop there.
Beautiful. Kevin.
I was just going to say, Ia, I wanted to reflect your question back to you.
Um, well, I'm glad that it's not skinned leathered ball that Michael threw earlier. Um, yes, it's beautiful. I find that through discussion, and I'm bringing parents together and allowing them to feel that they're doing everything right, that there is no good books, to pile on. There are no good techniques to study. The only thing is to do is to feel the presence, to listen to children, to listen to self. And although we discuss topics together in what I kind of come to call parenthood as a spiritual retreat, that we find ourselves on this journey with, and we don't need to go anywhere else, that we've already arrived and retreat is here and everything that we need for it is already here, and it can be online, and it doesn't stop, and it has long begun before we meet, and we discuss things about things that worry us. We have topics like imperfection, like benevolence, like understanding that everything is a reflection. So we just touch on quite simple themes, and we discuss how different cultures reflect that, not touching any particular culture or religion or belief, but just saying that we have been talking traditionally from all the corners or globe, part of the globe for generations about the same thing. And the idea is that we can hear through one proverb more than through the other, and then we can remember. And in essence, then you feel like you can remove all those coats that you were wearing, and it feels much lighter. And children feel brighter, and they feel they've got their authentic parents back, that occasionally they touch them when they play. And it's delightful to be in that presence, in that field, and see these people blossom. And and we can't rush it, and the flower will, blossom when it needs to. And allowing that space to be for that is what I'm being absolutely graced with currently doing. So I'm delighted with that. There's one more thing that I am working on, which has been a long-going project about the universal language or earth design language, which is really developing what Valerie talked about, these perception and knowing that Kevin also talked about. It's recognizing through, again, listening to how nature does it, because I think it's here to teach us or to remind us that we remember. And through these short moments, come to awareness that we can actually get these, everything around us is an instruction, that Pema Chodron said, that we can start perceiving that, and that there's nothing we need to correct. We just need to listen for the next moment to arise. And what would be our next action? Because we're here to be physical and to manifest. So it's just about children, the next generation, to, in a way, to show us how. But we need to give them the tools so they don't need to look for them. And so they know we're ready, and we don't need to struggle for years and for decades to kind of to connect to each other and to ourselves and to hear from within.
Thank you, Ia. Kevin.
I don't have much to add to that. That was beautiful.
What's ahead for you in terms of where you think your path is headed?
Oh, yeah, I mean, just really for me, it's expanding the awareness and sharing the tools of not only the guidance or guiding clients back to their own source, their own answers, but also looking at it through that multidimensional lens of it is physical, it is mental, it is spiritual, it is emotional, it is also electromagnetic, it is also thermodynamic, it is also quantum entanglement or Christ consciousness rising. And taking those, what may be perceived as esoteric terms or things that aren't as tangible or real as we might perceive, and really flipping the script on those and recognizing that is the only reality and everything else emerges from that. So yeah, that new blueprint of being is what I'm looking forward to. And multidimensional expression. I'm working on a children's book right now with a brilliant illustrator who happens to also be my daughter, who's launching her own career, going to art school this fall. And so that's in the works. And then another couple of books, and continuing to develop processes and programs to enliven, enlighten, and get us back to that core of who we are, which is who we've always been, those same little kids.
I love it. Hey, we're starting to wrap this up, but I'm gonna throw a few things out there and see which quote or quote number 2 sticks. I'm gonna blow a little bit of sage your way. I don't think I actually did that during the panel. We did it before. But here are 2 quotes for you. One complex, but not so complex, from India that's been around for 800 years or 2,000 years or something. But here's an easy one. A definition of compassion by an angel named Dale. Just being compassion is just being and trusting the outcome to be of the highest intent for all. I had to say that one. And I've got another one that I'm feeling drawn to say. It's one of my favorite quotes. I've sat on it since 1991. I had a diary. I was in New York City, 1992. I didn't officially have a diary, but I put 20 quotes in a notebook that stayed with me forever, and certainly did not understand non-duality, and still don't, till maybe 8 years ago. Here's the quote from Siddha Katrapa. Whatever the yogin sees is his instruction. Yeah. Whatever the yogin sees is his instruction. We're borrowing from Pema Chodron, but not. And realization that all he sees is unborn. That is the most excellent guru. Innocence is the way to realize non-duality. For here the effects of virtue and vice are one. Now you can maybe see why I sat on that one for, I'm going to say 16 years, with no clue what that meant. And it's slowly dawning on me, maybe by the time I'm 80. Here's a little bit of sage. People at home can smell sage. Maybe I did do this earlier in the show, but it doesn't matter. We're going to do it one more time to clear the air. We're going to see what comes to light. I'll put up one photo of an angel. We'll do one more deep but bumper sticker level mantra from you to the audience, or a reminder for all of us to be in the heart more. Show love always will be mine. I've jumped the gun. Okay, catch a little bit of sage in Florida, California, and the UK, but you don't have to just smell sage. Not that it's not amazing. Universal light consciousness. Allow for flowers, ocean to come in, or something extra. And if you want to put a hand out off camera, like you're getting $50 or 50 euro or 50 pounds, whatever I'm supposed to say, you can have an angel or a loving being hold your hand, or just see light in your hand. If there are no limits in life, maybe there are really no limits. You knew it as a kid, yeah. And as an adult, all that thinking, complexity, and structure came in. Better not. So what will you allow for in the moment is also my other bumper sticker reminder. Kevin, are you getting a little bit of sage in California?
Yeah, I actually got a little smokiness, and then some jasmine came through.
I love it. Yeah, you getting a little bit of sage?
I was having more visual actually effect. I saw various shapes of eyes, but they were out of smoke in here, not where you are.
Prima. And Valerie, what are you getting?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you light up, it's funny how I immediately smelled that particular smell. And then it kind of reminded me of Catholic Mass incense.
Brilliant. Now, who wants to take that next step? So we did, 1 + 1 = 3. Kevin, what are you getting out of all this that you can give us a sage, pithy reminder so we can all walk a smoother path and shine a little more?
It's the subtleties that will keep us stuck. So the subtle judgments, the subtle comparisons, which is kind of the opposite side of what I took or what I heard from your first quote. As far as that duality is, uh, the devil's in the details, so to speak. And so, really getting clear and holding up that mirror to those subtle energies that we perpetuate, mostly unconsciously. Um, the things that we say, we think, we feel, or we emote that feel justified, that feel righteous, that feel correct in either their resistance or attachment. And the subtle language we use, I find, is a brilliant place to expand exponentially, or a challenging place that we will slog through for years because of those kind of very three-dimensional qualities. So that was what was coming through for me.
If you had to put it on a t-shirt, or you could put it all into Grok and get a quick 5 words or less, what's the ultimate final answer Jeopardy reminder?
It's a little on the nose, but think less, be more.
Love it. Valerie.
I love that one. And I really actually loved, although I wouldn't be able to repeat it right now, but that second quote that you mentioned and the flash that it gave me is, um, you know, we've been perceiving upside down. So less is more because the unseen is the actual real, and what we see is the unreal.
So keep it real. Keep it
So
simple, keep it real, keep it real simple.
Right? Because the real is the beingness, and the unreal is all this thinking and, making mountains out of molehills that we do as humans. And so, no wonder if we can really perceive to the invisibility, to the field of potentiality, to the what we think is unreal, because that's where all is being. There was a beautiful quote in some esoteric works, and it basically was space is a being. And I really took that in, because when we see that within a proton volume of space lies more energy than in all the material known calculated universe. I mean, that is truly mind-blowing. And so when we realize that space is a beingness, and we realize that everything is 99.9999% space, and then when we zoom into that little thing we think isn't the space, it too is made of 99.9999% space. So it just keeps bringing up, to Kevin's point, like everything we think we know is going to get shredded, because we're really truly diving into unknown and fields of probabilities and potentialities. And what this whole plane of existence is about embodiment. It is about deciding to manifest and actualized out of the infinite field of potentialities that are out there. And that is cyclic, right? And that's what we call a universe. But that's not where true beingness is.
Valerie, final answer. What's your 5 words or less mantra, a reminder for us all?
I'll keep it to one word: be.
Less is more or less. Don't call me less. Okay, Iya, what do you have for a final reminder for us all to walk a smoother path, breathe easier, take a load off the shoulders, and get back to the childlike presence or innocence that never left us?
It's a bit heavier, actually, but it's a Buddhism. It's from Buddhism. It says that the barrier is the path, and I would maybe convert that to say that tantrum is awakening. And it's both for children, and also we just don't express it, but we do have tantrums. And it is awakening.
I love it. And I'll try to paraphrase with a dad joke. A man walked into a bar. Another man saw this and walked around the bar. Okay. With that, I want to thank you for being here. Can we have you sign off, each of you, and well wish the audience with a vibratory salute. So something, you don't have to blow into the microphone, but can you send a high vibe to somebody who's just catching this years in the future? I don't know how you do this. Maybe we're redefining how we exit a show or a panel. How would you send higher vibrations, a loving vibe to people you've not yet met, maybe never will meet? But there's got to be a way to sign off that's beyond the usual way of thank you for having me on. And this is your challenge for ending this panel, because that's all we've pointed to is there's something more coming for each of us, and that the kids already have. We had it. Some of us have lost it. Some of us have found it. Some of us, if we'd only look, it's like sitting on the box and the treasure was always right there. The treasure, it's the classic treasure map metaphor. The only thing is it's not an external treasure. You're the treasure. You get to find yourself, your authentic presence, as one of you pointed out. Kevin, how are you going to sign off in a way that is light years ahead, pun intended?
Well, if I'm communicating a verbal message, it would be, you've got this. You can't mess this up. There's no such thing as failing. Enjoy it. Enjoy every aspect of it. To your point, Michael, like enjoy the now, because the now is very transient. And when we're evolved from the now, we tend to be like, oh, remember when things were simpler? Remember when things were easier, as we're moving towards everything that we want.
Valerie.
I might just invite them to, I would say, may you already know that you are beingness itself. May you have courage and be brave to be that now in every now.
Brilliant. Love it. Nailed it. Okay. Iya, no pressure.
I would just say, close your eyes, take a breath, land within, and then open your eyes.
Oh, wow. Triple flip, somersault, and a perfect, you stuck the landing, as they say in gymnastics. Thank you all for being here. Kevin, Valerie, Iya, you're truly amazing. People can check out your prior appearance on our first panel together. It wasn't too long ago. I'm going to guess like 4 or 5 months ago, maybe the end of last year in 2024. But either way, you'll see it in the footnotes of this video description. You're all truly wonderful. Thank you again for being on this panel.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael, for having us. Thanks, everyone.
Pleasure as always, everybody.
Yes, pleasure. Thank you for your time today.